Hello, I am Paul, your podcast announcing utility liaison. This week's episode covers plot points from a recent big-budget superhero film. As such, the Grand Council of Cinema Goers mandates that we deliver you a blanket spoiler alert. You have now been alerted to the presence of spoilers. And now, on with the show.
Yeah, come and take a look at the snow. Bright white as far as your eyesight goes. Come and take a look at the fields of snow. I'll just get my coat, then we're good to go. Come and take a look at the lake. Let's have a quick skate before it gets late. Come and take a look at the frozen lake. Put your clothes on, mate, don't make that mistake. Happy Christmas.
Greetings, holiday shoppers. There are now 120 shopping days left until Christmas, and I think you know what that means. That means it's time for another episode of Christmas Creeps, your one-stop shop for holiday movies and TV shows all year round. Since 2015, we've been putting this show on for you fine people, and we don't have any inkling of stopping or slowing down yet. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about a new Christmas movie. Hi, my name is Joseph Wade. I will be your host for this evening. Here with me tonight are my co-hosts, Johnny Five, the human robot. I take it to mean he's present. And also with us is Mr. Bradford is here as well. Brad.
Greetings, holiday shoppers.
Okay, so we got can check, and then, Joey Wade
All
makes
right.
3.
Well, you can't say can check without telling me what you boys are getting into here. What are you drinking?
J-Man, what you got?
Yingling.
Bradford, what you got?
I have Licking Hole Creek.
That sounds gross.
Juicy India Pale Ale. Oh wait, it's
Every word you said just got worse.
I think it's called. I forget the actual. The name of the beer is not on this can. It's like I think they call it Card Collection or something. It's got a jackalope, and he's a card. I don't know.
Are beer
good.
companies just like creating their own like collectible beer games or something?
Well, I think beer companies a long time ago just basically they've started using machine learning to generate new beer names. It seems like, for the most part.
We fed this
I just got
robot
Ewan 'cause it was
35
cheap.
different beers to help it create new beer names. Oh, good Lord. Technology
What
is
about
such a wonder. I am drinking the closest thing I could find to a Dr. Savannah beer, and so it's not a beer at all. It's a Dr. Zevia.
A Dr. Zevia.
Yes.
Lovely.
When you want Dr. Pepper, but are too highfalutin to say so.
Dr. Pepper shows up as a product placement in this film that we're about to discuss.
Quite prominently, yes. On the level of a Forrest Gump gag, if you will. Tonight, we are rounding out the summer movie season by discussing the superhero film that kind of kicked it off this year. It's weird to say 2019's Shazam, but I mean, it is. It's Shazam. This movie came out back in April and kind of took me by surprise when I went to see it and discovered, oh my goodness, it is in fact a Christmas film.
Why the hell did this come out in April? It's so heavily set in Christmas.
That's a really good question, and I
mean, the Christmas is inconsequential, but it's incredibly there.
Yeah. I was going to bring this up much later, but we can discuss it now if you want to, because this is not like a joke or a gag or anything. Like, if you haven't seen this movie, Christmas is like the setting, the time setting, time-wise. As Brad likes to say, 1 out of every 12 movies should take place at Christmas, and this one kind of does. But also, the themes of being with family around the holidays and just having the warmth of having, a nice decorated home for Christmas. It's like all there in the film. And it's not an accident, so...
And it's also about orphans. Yet again.
About powerful orphans with vaguely Old Testament powers. Like, I don't know.
Can I just go ahead at the very drop and say, spoiler alert, Billy Beacom?
Billy Batson.
Billy Bats.
Beekman? Yeah, Beekman and Jax. That's what's in the thing.
Billy's parents are both very much alive. However, we can assume that some of these other children's parents are in fact dead. So we've got a dead parent alert.
The film starts with a scene of a scene where we have to assume a parent dies at the outset.
Yeah.
It turns out that's not the case, but that's how the film starts. So it's almost like they made this movie to troll us specifically.
It is a Christmas movie because it features dead parents and orphans.
Hallelujah. Oh my gosh. So guys, I take it neither one of y'all caught this when it hit theaters.
No.
Trying to think of the last time I saw a movie in theaters. It was probably Force Awakens.
What was that,
Wow.
2 years
Okay.
ago?
Who can say, Brad? Time is a flat circle.
Especially nowadays.
No,
No, it would have been 4 years ago. 2015.
2015. I keep saying that like this presidential administration's like greatest achievement is the complete and irreparable spaghettification of time. Like the last 3 years have been insanely long, and
Yes.
it's been such a century, gentlemen.
People say it as a joke where they're like, remember X? That was Y amount of time. That was only 6 months ago, even though it feels like years ago. It's really true.
Oh, go down the fucking rabbit hole of like live action Disney movies. Remember Dumbo?
That came out
you
this,
don't.
That came out this year, didn't it?
Yeah, it came out this year and also 70 years ago.
And also, same with Shazam. It came out 5 months ago, and yet it feels like we're discussing a movie that maybe came out last year.
Or even 10 years ago. Who knows at this point? Because the thing with Shazam is that, like, to talk about this movie, you have to talk about the entire DC universe, which is like giant clusterfuck of nonsense at this point. Especially considering...
Do you really have to, though? Do you have to, though? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Brad, if you're going to ask, do you have to any one thing that we do, you have to ask, do you have to have a podcast about Christmas movies? No, you absolutely do not. But since we do...
Well, in that case,
good night,
later,
everybody.
Bitches, the fucking Diablo 3 season just started.
Oh. Well, now this show is about me talking to myself about Christmas movies. So.
All right. DC Universe.
Okay, so I've not seen any other movies in the DC universe.
Okay.
Have you seen...
And I don't really plan on it because
you
motherfuck to Zack Snyder.
Okay, so you never saw the Batman trilogy?
Like, that Batman Begins and the Nolan shit?
Yeah.
That's not related to this.
Yeah.
But it's... Oh, really?
They got the bright idea to do a fucking cinematic universe with, I think, Man of Steel or Superman Returns, one of those two.
That's when that started?
That's when all that mess started, and they took the one good movie they had, Man of Steel, and said, let's extrapolate this to fucking hell.
Wow.
And yeah, hot take of the night, Man of Steel rules. And then they ruined it.
I'm going to say I did kind of enjoy this, though.
Yeah, okay. I enjoyed it as well. Let's let that be the baseline where we're going to start tonight, is that despite all their other previous past screw ups, you know, Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad and whatever the hell is going on in Aquaman, Shazam is not any of that stuff and kind of decides to sideline a lot of it and say, let's just start simple and do something else and just be like a 90s ass superhero movie that doesn't really relate to much of that stuff.
And hey, guess what? It's so much better for it. Like, yeah. There's little nods, and it's like, yes, Superman lives in the same world, but that's all you need to know.
Yeah, it takes place in a universe where the Justice League existed and is doing Justice League-y shit, but it doesn't really hang too much on it.
Yes.
Right, like the most we ever see is like the one kid, Freddy, is like always wearing some kind of Superman t-shirt or Batman t-shirt or Aquaman t-shirt. I don't know that he wears a Wonder Woman shirt or a Flash shirt, but sure, why not?
I feel like there's one scene where he's actually wearing a Wonder Woman shirt. There's like this scene. There's some sword in the middle of like a or I don't know if it's a Wonder Woman logo, but that's the closest thing I could come up to.
It's either Wonder Woman or Zelda, one of the two.
Who can say anymore? But point being, this has about as much to do with the DC universe as our actual universe in real life. in the sense that, like, sure, people wear Batman t-shirts out on the streets. Why not?
It'd be so much weirder to wear a Batman t-shirt out on the street if Batman actually did exist, though.
It's like it's like wearing the t-shirt of the band whose concert you're going to see.
Yeah, but then I guess there's also people that wear, like, t-shirts of bands and influencers have fans. I guess it would be the similar concept, but
it's like wearing the t-shirt of the superhero who is currently saving your life.
Oh god, wouldn't that be the most embarrassing thing ever?
No, what would be embarrassing is wearing a different superhero.
What would be embarrassing?
Oh, Batman, thanks. Can you put me back in the building and call Superman?
Guys, can you imagine being saved by Batman while wearing an Aquaman t-shirt? Just think about that for a second.
I can't. Well, you lost me. I can't imagine wearing an Aquaman t-shirt, so...
Just uncomfortable silence the entire time.
Just like Batman is like roping his way through the city streets, and he's like holding onto you with one arm, and he's looking down at you just like, really? He's giving you that look, that disdainful, just Batman look. It's like, I should just drop you right now.
Just a silent Batmobile ride back to the police station.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Batman's a billionaire. He can buy you a new t-shirt. So Shazam, I guess for the purposes of our podcast, we're going to talk a little bit more about it as it relates to Christmas and as a Christmas movie. Because, that's what we do. But also Shazam is just a damn fun movie on its own. And even without the Christmas trappings, I think it would be, a totally fun movie. But the fact that it is couched in the holidays with Christmas trees and snow and themes about family and all that stuff just kind of heightens everything and makes it a little bit more, I guess, thematically special.
I think we can compare it to some of the other movies we watch too, where you have a director who's done like 2 films of moderate success, and he's just given the keys to a franchise and said, hey, go nuts. Except this time it worked, compared to, like, I think Jurassic World.
Like Jurassic World is... that might be an odd comparison since the connection is so tenuous. But, like, yeah...
No, I mean, like, who directed Jurassic World?
It's Colin Trevorrow, who at that point had done, like, 1 or 2 indie films, and then Spielberg said, hey, you're a pretty cool dude. Here are the keys to the Jurassic Kingdom. Go crazy.
So, for the edification of
he had done
those...
Safety Not Guaranteed before that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For the edification of those listening at home and myself, what are the other films that the director who did Shazam?
He directed one of the Annabelle movies, Annabelle Creation, and also a couple of other, like, smaller horror films. Lights Out, I think, was one of his.
Oh,
yeah, Lights Out.
Yeah, I saw the short film version of that.
Okay, yeah. So that's him. That's David F. Sandberg. So he kind of comes at this from like a horror direction, and it's an interesting film, like to give a horror guy a superhero film, because like the demarcation between like horror and fantasy is very, very slim, and all you need to do is just kind of take the scares out of the horror, and there you have fantasy. And this is very much a fantasy. But all right, so I mean, let's just get into the plot, I guess. The very first thing we see in the entire film is the origin story of the villain, which is Dr. Sivana.
Theo Savannah. Or no, wait, Thad Savannah.
Thaddeus Venture.
Because I thought it was Brad at first, and I thought you guys were going to give me a hard time.
That's how you know he's a villain, because nothing good ever came from someone named Thad.
Thaddeus Savannah.
Thaddeus Savannah. He sounds like a Civil War
general. The only other Thaddeus I can think of is Rusty Venture, so yeah, let's go with nothing good came out.
When I was in middle school, I had to wear hand-me-down gym clothes, and the name it said on it was Thad, and everybody gave me shit for it. So...
I'm sorry, but that's actually very funny. You went to this. We went to the same high school where if you had to use the loaners, they were like they intentionally put them in the wash with like red stuff so that they turned pink, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember one time I had to use the loaners in gym class. It was like, well, we got a small pair of shorts and a XXL t-shirt.
It was like this weird ass like Sheriff Joe Arpaio-esque like shaming that they thought that was enough to keep kids from forgetting to bring their gym clothes in. I don't know, man. Gym class was weird. And
all that really resulted is made kids not ever take their clothes home to wash them. He's like, if I leave it in the locker, I don't forget it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what happened, and it was super gross, but hey.
And I specifically remember that the reason I took shit for it was because the Thad whose clothes were handed down to me was a Thad who had historically been sent home because he had bed bugs.
Whoa.
Yeah. Hell of a great 8th grade gym class for me. Anyway, so we get the origin story of Thaddeus Savannah, who is a kid. The beginning takes place in the 70s. Thad and his brother and his father are going to Grandpa's house for Christmas. So the song we hear in the background is Do You Hear What I Hear? So immediately you're like, okay, we're in the Christmas mood. And Thad gets whisked away to the cave of the wizard known as Shazam, because Shazam thinks he might be the champion that he's been looking for. And the wizard declares to him that he is not worthy because the kid is tempted by the glowing sphere of the 7 deadly sins, and he very nearly takes it.
Okay, I'm just gonna like throw a derail here.
Please.
Fuck both that wizard and Thad's dad. They're both pieces of shit.
Yeah, they're both very...
Yeah, Thad is literally absolutely correct later when he like confronts the wizard and be like, yo, it's kind of fucked up that you just tell a 7-year-old you will never be worthy. That's kind of a dickhead thing to do, you old piece of shit.
Well, thanks for just like jumping straight ahead to like the very next point I was going to make, but I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. So yeah, Thad's not worthy, and he banishes the kid forever. Cut to like much later, and we discover that Thad has been working all of his life to like figuring out what the fuck this was and who did it and where and why and how. And like he's been studying this phenomenon where the wizard's been like appearing to people all over the world and also likewise denying them. And it made me wonder why he didn't like team up with any of these other assholes who almost certainly would have been equally as pissed off as he is. Super villain team. Why not?
It's revealed that hundreds of people have had this challenge put before them, and you don't think this wizard's kind of a huge dick, just pulling people.
Yeah, this wizard's holding out for Mr. Right when he needs Mr. Right now.
Yeah,
which is exactly what happens. Because, as it turns out, Savannah finally finds like the special key to unlocking this wizard's cave, gets in there, steals the power of the 7 deadly sins, shoves it right into his eye like a real jackass, and then walks. And then Shazam has to immediately find his champion, and he just grabs the nearest kid off the street, and the kid happens to be Billy Batson, who is an orphan.
Yeah, and I want to point out that like the way he gains access to the wizard's cave is he basically guesses his door code.
He guesses the password. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he guesses it correctly, but then he has to figure out that you have to do it 7 times because 7 deadly sins.
He has to do it 7 times because that's what sends the email for the reset password form, or it's basically the magic form of SQL injection.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow.
And the evil Nigerian prince sends him a 7-figure check.
So we're also treated to Billy's origin story of sorts, where he is at a fair with his mother, and his mother gives him a compass keychain, and then Billy gets lost in the crowd, and he can't find his mother. And we learn that Billy has been between multiple dozens of foster homes, and he always runs away looking for his mother. We're treated to a scene where he steals a cop car only just to use the license plate reader or the license plate database to try to look up where his mother is, to no avail. And eventually he is put into a foster home run by or sort of headed by 2 former foster children themselves. And we are treated to the cast of characters that are his foster siblings. I
just want to say his foster dad is a year younger than me. That's fucked up.
Whoa. The big Samoan looking guy. I don't know if he's actually Samoan, but you know what I mean.
That guy,
Yeah.
Maybe cut that out. Maybe cut the Samoan thing
No,
out.
he is Samoan Hungarian playing a Hispanic guy.
Oh, was he? I thought he was supposed to be like legit Samoan. I didn't know
last
that
last name is Vasquez, and they speak Spanish a little bit to each other back and forth. The husband and wife.
Okay.
Well, the whole point of the foster family is that it's basically sort of a, I don't know the right term for this.
Island of misfit toys. No,
It's
it's
the island of misfit children.
the island of dead parents.
Oh my god. Well, you just cracked this one wide open, didn't you?
This movie is very Christmassy. I'm telling you.
It really is, and each one of these kids has something dearly, desperately wrong with them.
So let's go through this cast of characters. We got probably the most important, other than Billy. We got Frank, who's going to be his BFF.
No, you don't. We got Freddy.
Freddie, whatever. It starts with an F.
No, it's
a
not
boy's
whatever.
name.
Like, you hear Freddy and Mary, and if you know anything about Captain Marvel, you're just like, oh, I see where this is going. I'm just surprised that they had that reveal in this movie and didn't save it for a fucking sequel, like with some Iron Man shit.
Okay, so John, unpack that real quick, because I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, lives with a kid named Freddy and a woman named Mary. He lives with Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I'm surprised they didn't like have that. Like, a slightly shittier superhero movie would still have those characters and just have that setup and just leave it hanging for maybe we'll get a sequel. I don't know.
Oh.
But
Like fucking the War Machine suit in Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Is there some link between Captain Marvel and Shazam? Wasn't it some rights thing where they had to like split the rights?
Captain Marvel is Shazam.
Okay.
The original name of Shazam was Captain Marvel, but then when Marvel kind of started being a thing, they kind of lost / gave up on it and just said Shazam's a better name anyway.
Okay.
But it took a while for them to switch the name over from what I remember.
Yeah, so it kind of worked itself out over many, many years, but now it's basically just Shazam, and we don't talk about Captain Marvel.
Okay. All right. So we had Freddy, and he is the superhero nut, and he's very much into them, and they're roomies. They will eventually end up being best bros after some trial and error.
Yeah, he's also handicapped. Walks with a cane of some sort. And
Correct.
Boy, they milk that one a lot in this film too.
Yes, they certainly do. You're going to have to help me out with these other names because pretty much everybody else is walking stereotypes, more or less.
There's Eugene, who is the gamer kid.
We have the small Asian gamer kid.
Yeah.
We have
Mary, who's the Mary Marvel character.
Is
I don't
that
know how else to fucking describe her?
Is that the older white
her
girl who's
sister.
trying to apply to colleges?
Her entire character is that she's going off to college. Yes.
Yes. Then we have the larger Hispanic or Latin child. Is that really, they really just went with that one, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, they went with a Hispanic name for a Hispanic character. Yes, they did, Brad.
Okay. All right. I thought it was 2019. Okay. All right. Fine. We're just going to let that one sit there. Then we have the small, adorable African girl who apparently her main trait is she just will never stop talking and is very cute and nice.
And she's a big hugger. And
she's a hugger, yes.
Darla is, depending on how you feel about small children, the MVP of the film.
Yeah, she's a treat. Then let's see who's left.
That's
it. That's 5.
That's everybody. All right.
I also want to make a joke about how Billy spends 5 nights at Freddy's, but I don't want to do it. So let's just move on.
Welcome to Video Game Chat, everybody. I mean, if we weren't already with the small, what is his name? Ian?
I said the secret word, and all of a sudden, a door unlocked into Video Game Chat.
No, okay, no, we're gonna say something video game relevant to this movie. What is going on with the guy who wrote this movie? Later on, Eugene mentions about hacking games. The 2 examples he lists are Watch Dogs and Uplink.
Uplink
Came out in 2001.
Yeah, but that's such a deep cut to reference in a AAA movie like this. I was like, okay, all right, I've played Uplink, and I played it back when it came out, and I was like, whoa.
The only thing I can think of is if you just search hacker video game, uplink is one of the top results, maybe?
Yeah, I think they just Googled hacker video game, and that's what came up, but still.
It's a Warner
Uplink's
Brothers movie,
cool.
and they couldn't even say Enter the Matrix?
I mean, Uplink is a very, very much a better example of a hacker video game. Have either of you played Uplink?
I fucking love Uplink. I am so bad at it.
Oh, okay.
I need to get back into it. I never actually got the story going in Uplink.
Joe, basically the Uplink is you have what looks like an old computer. You when you load the program, it just looks like an old computer, and you can start doing hacker things where you can use a dial-up modem to freak phones, and you can download scripts and do like script kiddie stuff at the start. And you start emailing around with like hacker groups and go on hacker BBSs. It's basically a hacker simulator. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I gotcha. Okay.
I would say it's a hacker simulator inspired by like hackers and war games and sneakers and shit like that. More than like actual hacking.
Absolutely, it's like totally tongue in cheek and not the real way that hacking works.
It came out in 2001. It's set in the far distant future of 2010.
Yeah. It's what you would think of when you think of hacking simulator. It's fun.
Okay.
Check it out.
Enough. Check it out. And obviously this 11-year-old kid certainly did.
Any other... Have we gotten it out of our system? This was actually a relevant video game chat?
I think that's it. I think we should just close the door and say we're not worthy for more video game chat.
Okay.
There's only one other video game. They play Mortal Kombat because it's a DC property.
And then also, I think the joke was he was playing as Raiden because he was
playing as Johnny Cage. Freddy was playing as Raiden.
Oh, wait, really? Oh, I thought Oh, okay. I thought the joke was that Billy or Shazam with like his superpowers was basically super good at video games as well. No.
No. Billy was winning as Johnny Cage, but like I think he was sitting on like the one side of the screen where he should be player 2, unless these kids were both fucking sociopaths and were like crisscrossing, which that's fucked up. And I refuse to watch a movie where kids like sit on the wrong side of the TV.
Also, they were playing Mortal Kombat because a new Mortal Kombat was just about to come out, and that's like corporate synergy galore.
Yeah. Okay. We're all good.
Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Did we get it? Hooray, Warner Brothers.
Anything we can do to talk about like companies other than the big D, like we'll do it.
Yeah, I guess it's really a weird year we're in, where we're like cheering for the other, not you know what I mean though.
Hooray for other brands, yes.
Hooray for other brands that have not been subsumed into the media brands.
How did this movie take place in Philadelphia and not some like made up bullshit, by the way?
What do you mean?
Because this film is all about family, and what is Philadelphia if not the city of
Philadelphia is a real place in a universe of Metropolis, Gotham City, Center City, Keystone.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
All right. I get it.
That's a good point, though.
If somebody knows about DC stuff, I'm sure there's got to be their weird, like, Philly equivalent. Hit us up. Let us know.
Real talk, it was probably because they got pretty good tax incentives to film in Philly, and you can't really hide Philly when you're filming in Philly.
Yeah, and they even embrace it because they do like they go to the Philly library and they do the Rocky thing where they mention Rocky and whatnot.
Yeah.
So no cheesesteaks in this film, however. All right, where were we? Let's zap through this plot, if we will.
Brute force this plot.
Okay.
So yeah, most of the early part of the film, like once Billy gets his Shazam powers, is him and Freddy kind of learning what Billy's powers are, videotaping it, putting him up on YouTube, making him seem to be some kind of like not YouTube celebrity, but like a local like celebrity, just in his trying to fly tests and his tests where they're setting him on fire to see if he's fireproof and just weird shit like that. And then also along the sidelines, Dr. Sivana is here subsuming power and destroying his family so he can take over the company. Or he's not even taking over the company because
he's just doing the mother of all you shut the fuck up dads.
Yeah, exactly.
He did literally kill his dad, which does validate our dead parent alert.
Okay,
It's
so
just
now-
the first
hang on.
time that we've had a villain kill their own dad on any movie we watch for this podcast.
The first time any character in a Christmas film has ever murdered their parents on screen.
Correct.
Wowzers. So actually, we should stop right now because having discussed, Billy's family and all the kids, Dr. Savannah has also sort of subsumed his own family in the form of the 7 deadly sins.
Yes. Which are all weird goblins.
And some of them have like some of them are portrayed as the things that they are supposed to be, but then others are just
most
like
of them are
goblin
not.
characters.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
that
there's
was
like
one of-
like Gluttony looks like a fat dude, and like
Where
Raz
he-
is a really big dude, and then there's just Vince Clortho and Zool hanging out too.
Yeah, Green
Yeah.
has 4 arms, which is like actually pretty appropriate. He's basically a Machamp. And and then I'm assuming Lust is the one with the very long tongue. And I only say that because last year when the Venom movie came out and everyone decided that Venom was hot all of a sudden.
This is news to me. Okay.
Oh, everybody wanted a piece of that Venom tongue, let me tell you.
Oh boy.
Okay, this is how fucked up like the current like zeitgeist is, I guess, because we're like talking about how like Venom is hot and Ted Bundy is daddy and can get it. Like, what the fuck, humanity?
We don't have heroes anymore. We're all just horny on main and everybody knows it. Weirdly enough, like the way they portray Shazam in this movie, he is not like cut or portrayed like that at all. He's just a big goofus in a big dumb suit,
It's kind of great, actually.
Jair Bolsonaro saw a picture of Mario and Luigi kissing on Twitter, and that's why he set the rainforest on fire.
They can't depose you if you're already on fire.
So Shazam, huh?
The best way to describe like the Shazam character is something that someone literally says to him in the film. Like when he first wakes back up on the subway, this dude is like right in his face, just laughing and screaming at him. And he goes, "My brother, I applaud your choices today. Gold shoes, gold shirt, gold cape. It shouldn't work, but by God, it does."
That's kind of this movie. It shouldn't work, but by God, somehow it does.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even want to knock it too much for being an origin movie, though it does spend like an hour and a half of its 2 hours and 11 minutes being an origin movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of the most fun of the movie anyway, because once the hero and villain actually meet, it becomes literally every other superhero film you've ever seen.
Yeah.
This movie takes a turn into not nearly as much fun after that point, because if this movie were just the first half of this movie, I probably would have thought of it much better. I don't know. Or maybe some small stakes sort of situation. I don't know.
Like, I think if this movie had been a TV show, I think it would have worked much better. Because I've just started watching on Amazon the show called The Boys. Have you guys seen any of that?
I've heard
Karen
of it,
likes it, but I've not seen it.
Well, that movie does a lot of the same stuff that this one does, where it has the time to sort of just hang around and watch these superheroes be jackasses and do nothing. And then every once in a while, they will advance the plot. And I feel like this movie needs a lot more time to just let Shazam be a jackass.
superhero slice of life, if you will.
Exactly. Because that's what's fun about the character. I really don't care about his narrative arc as an orphan coming to terms with his family. That's nice. It's the way it wraps up at the end is kind of nice, but it's a little inconsequential. And his battle against Dr. Savannah is kind of rote, you know? It's just it exists because it has to. But watching him discover what his powers are and watching him just be a goof and be nice to people and also silly, I think it's just that I like Zachary Levi as this character, and I don't really care to see dramatic plot twists anymore.
Yeah. Speaking of rote, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to summarize the rest of this plot, in 6 sentences. We're going to cut out the fluff. I'm going to do it so we can actually talk about the things we like about this movie or didn't like about this movie. Sound good?
No fuss, no muss, all wheat, no chaff. Let's do it.
Okay. Sentence 1. The doctor finds out that Billy is Shazam and wants to take his powers.
Okay.
Sentence 2. He finds out that Billy is an orphan, has all of these family that he has come to care about after his mom rejects him. He found out about his mom. That's in parentheses. That still counts as part of the sentence.
Nice dependent clauses there. I appreciate that.
All right. Sentence 3. The doctor takes Billy's family hostage and they escape back into the Magic Mountain, where they find out that the doctor's weakness is when he lets the demons out of his eye, he gets weaker.
Not to be confused with Six Flags Magic Mountain, but the actual Magic Mountain.
I think that's what they call it. They call it the Rock of Solitude or something.
It's the Rock of Eternity.
Rock of Eternity. Okay, that doesn't count as a sentence. I was at 3 sentences, right?
Yes.
All right. Sentence 4. Billy fights the doctor and all of the kids get the Shazam powers transferred to them when Billy realizes that he needs allies and this is his family.
Geez, spoiler alert.
We're going over the plot. There's no spoilers here.
I know, Brad, give me a break.
Sentence 5. They all break up into equal parts and fight all of the baddies and then bring the doctor to justice. Sentence 6. They're all one big happy family and I guess they're gonna live together now because they all have Shazam powers. I don't know, man. And Freddy gets to eat lunch with Shazam, which is what he always wanted. The end.
Sentence 7. The doctor teams up with a space worm.
Wait, what?
Did you not watch the end credits scene?
There's a after end credits
It's a
scene.
fucking superhero movie, Brad.
Oh, I forgot about. I thought that was only a Marvel thing. I don't know, man.
It's an everybody thing.
All right. Well, wait. So they didn't actually kill the doctor, but they put him in the cop car.
They're heroes. They put him in jail.
So the after credit scene, the doctor is in his prison cell, obsessively writing the Shazam glyphs all over his prison cell. And then all of a sudden he hears this voice that basically entices him to team up. And he sees a little worm sitting on his windowsill. And it's a fucking space worm talking to him through some kind of device that lets worms speak. It's insane.
Lets worms pee. Okay, I'll have to go back and watch that then, I guess.
And for clarity's sake, it's not just random like LSD bullshit. It is an actual established character, Mr. Mind, and the DC shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm aware of that. I mean, like that it's an actual character, but we're reaching the point in superhero fatigue, superhero saturation, where I don't know any of this shit anymore. And I rely on people like Jonathan and the internet.
Oh, I just retain stupid bullshit. Like, I went into this being like, okay, I wonder if Mary Marvel was going to be in this. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, did I do a good job with my... I guess I should have made it 7 sentences.
You should have made it 7 sentences to go along with the 7 deadly sins and the 7 everything else.
I know. Well, you did it with the post-credit scene. That was the surprise 7th sentence.
Yes.
Now we can get into... So, I did distill the plot down into its barest bones, but I think this film is best when it is doing this superhero slice of life stuff and, like, all of the small little jokes. I think that... I have not seen the Deadpool films. I don't think I really want to see the Deadpool films, but I think this might be the closest we will ever get to a live-action Freakazoid superhero film.
I was going to bring up Freakazoid, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's very inconvenient as a superhero to have your superhero name be the command that, like, to basically be your aloha. And also that you're using an aloha instead of a hello and a goodbye. Like, Freakazoid has the advantage of there's no context in which he's going to say freak in except to stop being Freakazoid.
Yeah.
He's not going to accidentally say it.
Oh, right. Like when they're holding the staff and he has to say, no, the name I say when I want to turn into this guy.
Yeah.
Because if he actually said the name, he would have just turned back into Billy.
I mean, what happens if Billy Batson wants to do a Gomer Pyle impression? And he has to go, Shazam! And then he turns into like a weird hillbilly version of a superhero. And that's really creepy.
Speaking of which, back in the early, I read the early Captain Marvel shit. There were other kids named Billy Batson who got similar powers just by coincidence. There was Tall Billy, Fat Billy, and Hillbilly.
Oh my god.
Are you for real?
Yes, I'm not fucking making that up.
Wow, that's
This
amazing.
is some clerical error shit where they just accidentally applied the superpowers to everybody named Billy.
It makes me wonder. Well, actually, I don't really have to wonder because I have a pretty good idea why they didn't try to make a Gilmore Pyle, Andy Griffith Show reference in this movie that was made in 2019 for children. I just answered my own question.
Because it would have gone over literally everybody's head.
It would have gone over, Mount Everest's head at this point. But I don't know. I feel like that might be a question better asked to our buddies over at Breaking Mayberry. So we'll have to pose that to them at some point. Where am I going to go with this? Okay.
What's y'all's favorite goof? Because there's some good goofs in this film.
I think my favorite goof was the extended clowning on Envy to draw Envy out of Dr. Zavanna.
Okay.
That's a pretty good plot turn, yeah. My favorite goof is when Darla becomes superhero Darla and she sees the mall Santa and immediately runs up to him and tells him that she's been a good girl all year.
And what she wants.
That's
it's
adorable.
So good. It's
That's
very
adorable.
good. I think my favorite goof might be and earlier in the movie when Billy, this is another good slice of life type thing, is like Billy is dealing with the fact that he looks like an adult and now he can drink beer and go into strip clubs and do all these sorts of adult things that are actually okay. He goes into a strip club and then later in the film he is pressured into picturing an area so that he can transport everybody, and he ends up picturing the strip club, which I thought was pretty funny. So there you have it.
That's
called
that
the
scene
booty
was
trap.
full of good jokes too. Like Mary is like annoyed at him. Freddie comes out covered in glitter. Pedro is just kind of like, I don't really get the appeal.
Yeah.
And then Darlo just wants to know where the glitter came from, and can she have some glitter?
The other very good joke is from the original strip club scene is the fact that Shazam comes out after like 2.5 minutes with a full basket of wings already.
It's got the Buck Strickland special.
It's pretty good.
Yes. Oh man. But no, so we've kind of been talking around it, but Christmas is a big part of this movie. Like, there's a whole fight scene that takes place in a shopping mall with a stand of village around. The big final fight scene takes place at the winter carnival known as Chilladelphia.
Chilladelphia.
And
Which I want to pause and give this movie props for having it set at Christmas in a place where it actually fucking snows at Christmas sometimes.
Yes.
Unlike Cobra, where it's Southern California, but there's just a bunch of Santa Clauses around because why not? They're in the fucking desert.
Ups. Yes, big ups for that, and then also big ups for the thematic tie-in where Billy was originally abandoned at a carnival, and then he finds his true family at a carnival.
Yes, absolutely.
It's implied that it's at that carnival.
Say what?
It's implied that he was abandoned at that carnival because he's in the exact same dart balloon booth.
Oh,
That's
dang.
True, yeah.
And then also because the fact the Ferris wheel is very permanent, I guess that implies that carnival exists year-round and it's just been dressed up for Christmas because he was abandoned at a carnival in Philly. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, spoiler alert. His mom is still alive and she abandoned him because she felt like she couldn't take care of him. There you go.
Yeah, that, like if there had to be like a sour note, a sad note, like I'm not gonna say I'm glad that was it because damn, that's depressing. But like, it's a good beat. Like it works and it establishes the fact that like his foster family is his real family. You make our own families here, like what's his fuck in Fast and Furious. I don't have friends, I have family.
Okay.
Dom Toretto or
Dom Toretto? Yeah.
Okay.
My one discussion question I was going to ask, which John just went ahead and put up on Front Street. Why does anybody release holiday movies in April or July or any other time but the holidays? It makes me wonder if this was originally meant to be released last Christmas.
It would have been, yeah.
I'm going to posit that the holiday movie like pantheon, so to speak, is already so full that you're taking a big risk trying to unseat something in it. Because why release a Christmas movie when people are going to be like, fuck that, I could just stay home and watch A Christmas Story 17 times in a row.
I guess,
Yeah.
but then like when you're talking about going to the movies, the big holiday movies these days are like the last 10 years or so have been Hobbit movies and Star Wars movies and stuff like that.
And the Christmas movies that are released at Christmas are shit like Office Christmas Party and The Night Before and Bad Moms Christmas, stuff that's honestly pretty forgettable.
Fair. I mean,
Like chronologically, the last Christmas movie I can remember that we haven't watched actually, that like people would put on their list of like, oh, these are my all-time favorites, is fucking Elf.
We still have not gotten to Elf.
Elf.
Allow me to hit you with this theory.
okay.
So, when they're optioning this movie, and when they're writing up the original script, they set it at Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of people know about Shazam, and this is a somewhat on-tested director for the AAA sphere, right?
True.
So they're hedging, I think they hedged their bets and said, well, if this is mediocre or a stinker, we can put it out around Christmas because nobody has anything better to do during Christmas, and we'll get some of that nice SEO since it is a Christmas movie. But then the final cut comes in and they realize, okay, this is a good movie. We're going to release it during the summer movie block. I think that's what maybe happened. Just
It's
saying.
possible.
Maybe that's a little cynical, but maybe I think that might.
Well,
I think it was like definitely a marketability thing where they could do it. They could have it either way. You know.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about like the release of a giant like $200 million movie, you cannot get cynical enough. So I think any theory like that is probably a decent theory.
Yep.
I'm looking on like the movie's web pages like Wikipedia, IMDb, and I don't see like any proof that or any indication that this ever was planned to be released at Christmas anyway. So it makes me think you might be right, and they were producing this film because they knew like, well, superhero stuff does well in the early spring, in spring and summer. But also, if we make this a Christmas film, we can goose that number a little bit extra when the holidays roll around, and we can start, releasing, special edition stuff for Christmas. And then 2 years from now, we can start putting it on TV and pumping it up as like the superhero Christmas movie.
Correct.
Because don't no one remember Iron Man 3 anymore. That's how fast this stuff moves. Oh, man. Remember Iron Man 3?
I remember it. We watched it earlier this year, didn't we? There's a giant bunny that looked like it had tits.
That's the one. I'm glad that's the one thing you remembered from Iron Man 3.
It is the one thing that is seared in my mind. I shouldn't use such a vulgar term for breasts, but seriously, come on. It is the one thing that will be seared into my mind forever about that film, is that weird, gigantic bunny.
The gigantic booby bunny. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, we've
She
spent
has a name, guys. She's Lola Bunny.
Oh! Before we do Crankometer,
sure.
Negative, like hits against this movie. I thought it was a little bit long, which is, I mean, it's a superhero movie,
Yeah,
so of course it's going to be long.
It was 2 hours and 11 minutes, I think, which is a little long for as goofy as a movie this was. Like, if you're going to be comedic, you got to cut the time down a little bit.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Especially nowadays when, like, I feel like we're just so tired of big overblown movies that any movie that can come in under 2 hours is kind of a blessing. And this one just couldn't cut it. And, like, we had to juice it and give it a little bit more stuff, I guess.
Yes.
This movie kind of built itself out as, like, a superhero comedy akin to, like, the Tom Hanks movie Big, because it kind of has a similar plot.
Oh, they have the fucking piano in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that that reference is right there, and I feel like they might have overplayed that a little bit because, other than the kid getting big, and then the piano, there's not a whole lot of big in this, and like you can make the one reference and that's fine, but then like when you kind of build that as your whole marketing strategy and say, oh, this is the superhero version of Big. Give me a break.
Who the fuck remembers Big, first off?
People who make movies and people who watch movies. But mom and dad moviegoer, what's Big? Who cares?
I thought it would have been better for it if it actually had played up, again, that slice of life. Like, you're an adult now. We can do shit. Let's go into an R-rated movie kind of stuff.
And they do a little bit of that, too. Like, at one point, they go to a real estate agent and to see if she can find a secret lair for them. And she asks them how many bedrooms they want. And Billy, as Shazam, says 1. And then Freddy says 7. Assuming because he wants all of their siblings to move into the superhero lair with them.
Which is very cute.
And it does get a payoff at the end when they discover that they do have their own secret lair in the form of the Shazam, the Rock of Eternity.
Yeah.
But then John brought up a good point. John brought up a good question about that.
All right. No, I absolutely don't remember what my question was.
Your question was, why are there 6 kids and 7 chairs? Or why are there 7 chairs but 6 letters in Shazam's name? That was the question.
Because they do the thing at the end where each one of the kids like kind of specializes in one of the powers, it feels like.
Yeah.
Where Darla has like the super speed and
Freddy can fly, and Pedro has super strength.
Yeah.
And
so they were kind of doing that like strength of Zeus,
the wisdom of Solomon. The strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. There, I did.
I feel like you did write that down, didn't you?
Absolutely I did.
So, yeah, that is a good question. And John said this already, that maybe Billy is the exclamation point in Shazam because he has kind of all the powers and he's kind of the leader.
But there's only 5 kids, though.
There's still one kid missing.
That's the sequel. They're saving that for the sequel. He has the red suit, so he's definitely, that always makes him the leader of the Sentai group, right?
So so that means Shazam is definitely the one who's going to die first.
That's why the song in the Ninja Turtles movie thinks that Raphael's the leader because he's wearing red. Okay,
that makes perfect sense. Finally, okay, a good explanation for that. I've been waiting like almost 30 years to figure out why the fuck that's the case.
Ta-da!
Thank you, John. I can die happy now. Well, I think we've talked it out enough. So now's the time in the episode where we have to go over to the crankometer and score this film on our patented XY axis, where the X-axis is Christmasity and the Y-axis is quality. So, gentlemen, X-axis wise, how Christmassy is Shazam? I mean, it's definitely there.
Yeah. And I would say it's even more so there than a Shane Black film. I felt like it was more into the fact that it occurs at Christmas than Iron Man 3 was.
It definitely uses it more and uses it more as an excuse to be a film about family and being together at Christmas.
And what did we get? Do you have what we gave Iron Man 3?
I can have that ready in just a minute.
I'm guessing we gave Iron Man probably a 1, if I recall. I want to say that. So I'd be willing to give this like it doesn't overdo it, and I think it could occur without Christmas, but I want to give it like a 2 because it has sort of those familiar themes about family and a little bit reconciliation, you know? And there's a Santa that curses a bunch, which is pretty good.
Which is a good bit, yeah. Iron Man 3, we gave it a 1.
Yeah, I'd give this probably a 2, maybe a 3 if you can bring it up. I don't know.
I'd say a 2. It kind of weaves it in pretty artfully. It doesn't hit you over the fucking head with it like some movies are wont to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives it a good excuse, but also it's not entirely necessary. This could certainly have been a Shazam movie without Christmas, and we wouldn't have missed it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it definitely strengthens the story and makes it a little bit more powerful and more fun and more colorful. So I think it definitely at least deserves a 2.
I'll throw my hat in for a 2.
Okay. Cool. So on a Christmas, the X-axis, it's a 2. So then, quality-wise, guys, how did y'all like Shazam?
I thought it was all right. I was at dinner with somebody last night, and they told me they did not care for it. But I was pleasantly surprised. I liked it. It's probably the most I've enjoyed a DC movie since the Batman trilogy, and it's probably the most I've enjoyed a superhero movie, including all of the Marvel ones that I've seen, in quite a long time, which is saying a lot, because I think that goofiness and the fact that it never takes itself too seriously, other than the scene where a man gets his head bitten off, is it's a breath of fresh air in this super serious, dark, gritty reboot sort of world that we live in. I'm going to give it a 3. I liked it.
John, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting much, and it was definitely better than I was expecting. It didn't quite fall into like the same exact hole that Kick-Ass did, even though it was playing around with a lot of the same ideas. It seemed to pull those off a little better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was expecting just an absolute fucking slog because it's a DC movie, and it definitely wasn't.
So yeah, definitely a win in that category for sure.
Yeah, I would say 2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess for my part, I was talking about this movie last night with my girlfriend Nikki, and we both agreed that like this was, of the movies that the two of us had seen in theaters lately, this was one of the ones that we both kind of remembered the most fondly. And then watching it again last night, like it's just kind of a pleasant, fun superhero movie. And really, when was the last time that's all you wanted out of a superhero movie?
Oh, I take that back. I will say there is one more pleasant, more fun, great superhero movie, and that is, of course, Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, sure.
But that is like comparing a golden statue to, all of the rocks that you find on the ground, because Into the Spider-Verse is amazing, and I will never hear anybody speak badly of it, ever, ever. But
it really is a shame Spider-Verse wasn't a Christmas film, because, man, we could talk circles around that movie.
I would love so much to talk about Spider-Verse, but that's not why we're here. But Shazam is still really good.
I'm good settling on a 3, like a decent 3 for this. It's a perfectly fun movie. It is a little bit long, and it does a lot of the same superhero stuff that we're just kind of tired of, but it does enough right, and it does enough in a more lighthearted tone that I'm perfectly happy watching this again, and maybe a third time later down the road. So yeah, nice. I would give this a 3.
So that's
also of the 2019 superhero movies that feature Jaimon Hansu, this is the best one. Because he was also in the Captain Marvel movie and also in the Shazam movie.
Wait, who is this?
He's the old wizard in this movie.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
And then he plays his character from Guardians of the Galaxy in the Captain Marvel movie.
And he was also in Aquaman.
Oh, he wasn't he? Huh.
Yeah, that was last year, I guess, though, but still.
Yeah. It's weird when they reuse actors like that. Like, this is a really strange pull. In Batman vs. Superman, I remember the character of the role of the president was played by Patrick Wilson, who just basically plays the president over the phone. All you hear is his voice. And then he shows up in Aquaman as the main villain.
Yeah, it's like Dr. Savannah's dad, John Glover, is like a long time like DC standby. He did, I think, the Riddler's voice in the animated series.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I look at him and all I can see is Mr. Clamp from Gremlins 2. Which, again, is unfortunately not a Christmas movie, because I would love to do Gremlins 2 sometime. Can we just do a podcast that's just Christmas-adjacent movies so we can talk about Gremlins 2?
Maybe that's something to aspire to for, like, down the road. Once we finally... We're never going to run out of Christmas movies, but if we ever did... If
Never,
we're ever like
ever.
all living in an old folks' home together, and we can record an episode every single day, and we run out of Christmas movies because of the great media ban of 2059, then we can they stop making movies in 2059. If we'll eventually catch up, then we can do Christmas adjacent movies.
After
You fucking optimist, do you think the planet's not going to die by 2030?
Oh no. Well, this is look, we're living in a world of fantasy right now, John. Just let me have this.
All right.
So after President Disney bans all other movies,
we're in our so John, the world may end, yes, but provided we can get enough Disney dollars, we can get into a Marvel branded cryo vat where our brains all are put into the same Tony Stark TM jar together and shot out into space. We can at least get through all of the Disney approved films, and then we can look at the older.
When you said President
adjacent.
Disney, my head went to not Walt but Roy Disney's head on like the Richard Nixon robot president body from Futurama. I don't know why Roy instead of Walt, but
hey, let me put this out into our hell universe. People argue, obviously it's not, but people argue that corporations are people. Why? I'm honestly a bit surprised a corporation hasn't run for president yet.
give it time, Brad.
I feel like that's probably going to be 12 years down the road when we're going to be deciding between President Coke and President Monsanto.
I, for one, welcome President Microsoft. So what you're saying, though, is that when the three of us have put our brains into a rocket and shot it out into space, where we can still stream Disney X Plus to the power of 10 infinity, that is when we will be able to finally talk about Gremlins 2. As the
Provided it hasn't been rotated back into the vault.
As the aliens capture our vessel and test our brains for special human memory banks, yes.
No, by that time, we'll
Gremlins
be able to
2
talk
will
about the
happen.
live-action remake of Gremlins 2. And by live-action, I mean they just actually bred some gremlins.
And all of the people are computer animated, but the gremlins are real.
We truly live in a hell world, don't we,
The
John?
gremlins are real, but their shenanigans are not.
Joe Dante is still around, and he's just looking really pissed off about it.
Good Lord. So what we're saying here is that on our crankometer, Shazam has scored a 2-3, a +2, +3. So Booker, book that on our crankometer scale, and we will march on to another wacky adventure in the coming weeks ahead. We do have some neat stuff in store for y'all. I don't know if any of it's going to come to fruition, but God, I have my fingers crossed.
Yeah. So
You
what have we said something about Vince Vaughn-a-thon?
Clark's Giving is coming up in
Clark's
November. We do still have one more Shane Black Friday coming up. But yeah, so we definitely have plans and fun stuff. But if there's anything you would like to recommend that we do in the future, you can send those to us on Twitter at Christmas Creeps. Email them to us at xmascreeps@gmail.com, or go to our webpage and leave a comment. Go to iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you download podcasts, and leave a comment, rating, all that fun stuff. Let people know this is a podcast worth listening to as we're rolling into the holiday season here. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
I do want to mention this. Speaking of Christmas creeps and the holiday season, it is, we're recording this it is August 25th. Last weekend, which would have been, forgive my math, would have been August 18th. I was at the Costco shopping mart, and I saw that they had Christmas wrapping ribbons already out on the floor. So, gentlemen,
Walmart has never not had the Hallmark Christmas decorations on an end cap.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, gents, the Christmas creep is truly on, my friends.
The creep will have always been on.
The creep deepens.
The creep deepens. It can only deepen from here.
Oh, and I think, didn't we complain recently about whether Sheetz still had or had early their Halloween candy? It's had early. I got an answer on that.
Yeah, because I think as soon as August rolled around, that's when they put out the candy cane M&Ms, or no, the candy corn M&Ms. Excuse me.
Yeah, but I swear they've had Scream eggs nonstop though. Like I swear I saw this in like April.
That's entirely possible. I mean, because the eggs, once Easter comes and goes, people just love those eggs. So any excuse to have one is welcome.
Gotta have my eggs.
Gotta have my eggs.
Charles.
I gotta get some of that creamy filling up in me. And that long pause is as
bullshit.
Good.
You can get real eggs for like way cheaper.
And in lieu of having a conversation about the price of eggs, I'm gonna say this has been Christmas Creeps. I'm Bradford.
I'm Joseph Wade.
You can get hard-boiled eggs 2 for $1.
Good night, everybody.
Night.